for all of us, we have one more to go. So I think CNSC, I don't know, you started your presentation as outlined in CMD 14M72 and 14M72.8. So I guess I understand, Mr. Segwan, you're going to make the presentation, or Mr. Awa?
Merci, Monsieur le Président. Mon nom, c'est Raoul Awad. Je suis le directeur général de la sécurité et des garanties à la Commission canadienne sûreté nucléaire. For the CNSC to observe the integration of all levels of planning, the provincial, regional, and federal, and the CNSC emergency plan also. And it was a good test for our own emergency preparedness framework, and that demonstrate how the CNSC oversight the licensee activity during emergency. To see the overview of initial staff observation, Mr. Luc Sigouin, Director of Emergency Preparedness Division, will give us the rest of the presentation.
Bonjour, membres de la Commission. Mon nom est Luc Sigouin. I'm the Director of the Emergency Management Programs Division here at CNSC. As mentioned at the outset today, the CNSC Fukushima Task Force report made several recommendations related to emergency response. More specifically, the report recommended that federal and provincial nuclear emergency planning authorities should undertake a review of plans and supporting programs, ensuring plan revisions are expedited, and making sure that regular full-scale exercises are a priority. In addition to this being highlighted in the task force report and the CNSC Integrated Action Plan, the IAEA Integrated Regulatory Review Service follow-up mission in 2011 made recommendations to the Government of Canada related to emergency preparedness. These were captured in two opportunities for improvement. The first stated that the government should assure that the review and assessment of off-site emergency plans for NPPs includes all relevant authorities, that they are comprehensive, and that the relevant organizations which implement those plans are capable of the assigned duties. The second stated that full-scale exercises of off-site emergency preparedness plans should be held on a periodic basis, including participation of the licensee and the municipal, provincial, and federal organizations. It's important to note that although Exercise Unified Response was a significant undertaking, it is one of many frequent exercises that OPG and other NPP licensees perform. All NPPs perform nuclear emergency drills and exercises several times each year, and they include interaction with the province and with the CNSC. In addition to CNSC involvement in simulating responses during these regular exercises, the CNSC performs full-scope formal inspections of NPP exercises annually. Accordingly, as you have seen reported in the annual industry reports, all NPP plans and procedures meet all regulatory requirements. So in addition to the regular drill and exercise activities that are performed at OPG Darlington, this particular exercise, Exercise Unified Response, was different because it allowed all response organizations to participate at the same time, to play the full scope of a nuclear emergency, from initiation of the event to field response after a radiological release. In many ways, Exercise Unified Response can be seen as the latest step in Canada's application of lessons learned after the Fukushima accident. Exercise Unified Response was an important activity for all organizations, including the federal regulator. This exercise allowed CNSC to demonstrate our regulatory oversight of licensee actions during an emergency, but also to demonstrate our dual role in support of the federal government's response during an emergency. In particular, this exercise allowed staff to validate the revised CNSC Nuclear Emergency Response Plan and the associated processes, as well as to assess our performance in relation to specific goals that are listed on the next slide. As you've heard, CNSC staff participated in the exercise design team and on the steering committee. This allowed CNSC's objectives to be included in the exercise scenario. In addition to validating our plan, procedures, and tools, as well as testing our dual role in a response, the CNSC had specific objectives to test crisis communications procedures, technical assessment of the accident and its progression, validating the deployment of CNSC staff representatives at the licensee, the Provincial Emergency Operations Center, and the Federal Government Operations Center. Excuse me. In addition to the provincial and federal domestic activities, CNSC staff took the extra step to test interactions with the United States NRC, Nuclear Regulatory Commission, and also with the IAEA in Vienna. CNSC staff engaged fully in exercise activities. The CNSC Emergency Operations Center on the third floor in this building was activated from 8 a.m. to 8 p.m. for all 3 days of the exercise. In total, about 120 staff members from all branches and all levels, including the executive management team, were involved in the exercise. The CNSC Emergency Operations Center actions spanned all areas of activity, from regulatory oversight to technical assessment and public affairs, including interagency coordination with federal, provincial, and international partners. Over the course of the 3-day exercise, CNSC staff demonstrated that they met all exercise objectives. In addition to activating our Ottawa Emergency Operations Center and responding during the exercise, CNSC undertook formal regulatory oversight of OPG during the exercise activities at the Darlington plant. A team of inspectors and specialists was on site and observed the activities of the licensee for the duration of the exercise. As previously mentioned, and it's important to state again, the existing emergency plans and procedures at OPG Darlington are robust and they meet all regulatory requirements. During this particular exercise, OPG dedicated a significant amount of resources and participated fully over the duration of the exercise. This was critical in allowing the off-site response organizations to test their own plans and procedures. Some continuous improvement opportunities were identified, as is the case in all exercises. And OPG has demonstrated that they are able to respond effectively to this hypothetical severe accident. As the Commission knows, the effectiveness of a nuclear emergency response depends on the ability of many organizations to work together in an integrated manner. In the case of Exercise Unified Response, all of the key stakeholders and response organizations, from the municipal to the provincial to the federal level, participated over the course of the exercise, and they demonstrated that the emergency plans are well integrated and that they can operate effectively together to protect the public and the environment. Of course, as is the case for all emergencies, some continuous improvement opportunities were identified by the off-site agencies, which you've heard already. These continuous improvements, as well as the implementation of the CSA standard and the CNSC Reg Docs on nuclear emergency preparedness, will further improve the integration and effectiveness of the off-site response. I'd now like to summarize the key outcomes related to Exercise Unified Response. From the CNSC standpoint, we met the established exercise objectives and demonstrated that we can meet our regulatory role during an emergency. From the licensee's point of view, and also from the off-site response organization, the exercise tested the implementation and integration of many post-Fukushima lessons learned and continuous improvements. And finally, from a national standpoint, in addition to demonstrating an effective response, it is clear that undertaking this exercise has improved our national capability to respond to a nuclear emergency. In addition to meeting the goals
De plus,
CNSC ensured that the public would be involved in assessing the exercise in some manner, as you've heard from Mr. David already. CNSC is the only organization that had extensive international play, allowing us to test our interactions with our U.S. counterpart. Early on in exercise planning, CNSC committed to having senior management, including the President, to play for extended periods of time each day of the exercise, and in particular to engage with agency heads federally, provincially, and internationally. CNSC's decision to include international play with the IAEA was the first of its kind after Fukushima, and led to Canada being the first country to meet the new IAEA requirement to have bilateral exercises in this post-Fukushima environment. Finally, in addition to having our own self-assessment team observing CNSC play, the CNSC hired 2 external evaluators to observe the exercise and report to senior management. As I've stated, exercises by their very nature are made to stress the plans and procedures and to identify opportunities for continuous improvement. CNSC staff met all the exercise objectives, but the exercise did highlight some areas that merit some attention going forward. There are 4 primary themes or areas which include the following. Improving the means in which CNSC staff in the Emergency Operations Center can obtain timely, accurate, and adequate information on the status of the plant. Improving the manner in which CNSC staff share technical information with its response partners, such as the Provincial EOC, the Federal Government Operations Center, or the FNEP Technical Assessment Group. Improving the efficiency of sharing information and situational awareness within the CNSC. And finally, evaluating the manner in which space is used within our Emergency Operations Center to ensure that it is operationally efficient during an extended full-scale response. In closing, I'd like to highlight some key next steps now that the exercise is done and that after-action reports are being finalized. CNSC staff will develop a management response and an action plan to address any CNSC-specific continuous improvement opportunities that are identified in any of the after-action reports. We will return to the Commission with this action plan no later than April 2015. In addition to this, CNSC staff is committed to working with provincial and federal partners to assist in developing their own continuous improvement action plans. Finally, CNSC staff will continue to work, train, and exercise with stakeholders to ensure that the improved capability will be maintained and demonstrated in future exercises. Thank you, Commission members. This concludes staff's presentation on Exercise Unified Response, and we're available to answer any questions.
Okay, thank you.